Hello.
Morning, Josh.
Good morning, Ziggy. How do you like that news? The numbers miss and it goes up.
Yeah, I miss my old news feed. That was one thing about Convergent I really liked. They had a
Yeah.
good feed.
Hmm. I couldn't get used to it, dude. I'm so particular. Ugh.
A lot of nonsense. I mean, things that don't matter to us for sure. There was like a lot of that, but they would catch a lot of the catalysts pretty quick.
I'm particular. I have to hear news in a certain way, and I always felt like however they described it was not helpful unless I don't even know how to describe it. It was like, because of the way in which they ordered it, it would be like mil- 1 0 more 0.5 plus 2 0 like I'm thinking to myself, Jiminy Christmas, it's up 2%. You're like, what the fuck are you reading the numbers for?
Yeah.
Nobody fucking knows what those numbers mean. Well, I don't. I mean, I shouldn't say nobody, but I don't.
Some pretty exciting progress done yesterday. Um, so Nick shared his stat sheet
Yeah.
uh, for the market stats. And what I'm trying to do is kind of um, improve the kind of dashboard that I had.
Hmm.
And what I've done is uh, pretty much what I'm trying to do is make that same kind of dashboard that Nick has and kind of combine it with mine and have it just automatically update from Sierra. And I've done like it's happening. I have the files that take data from Sierra and then put it into Excel live and it's updating and it's working. I just need to keep working with it so it's all correct. But it's happening. And now what we can do is anybody you know, like you'll be able to do this too if you want. I can send you the chart book and you can get it set up and you can, plug in YM, you can plug in RTY, ES, and it will change it based on the product and no manual work. It's all going to be like you change it once in Sierra, change the product, and then it will change it in Excel, and it's automatic. And it's going to have all types of stuff like what the environment is currently with volume and range and the market stats of what's occurring in different time frames and um, just trying to automate it so there's no more for me from a Sierra perspective. There's no more manual combing of data.
Yeah, that's super cool. That'll be nice for you to have. For us to
Yeah,
have, everybody. Yeah, I mean
I'm
that's
trying to as I do it, I'm making a Notion page that I'll be able to share a Notion page that explains like how to set it up and because I want it to be easy. I want it to be like you download the files, you open the chart book, and you choose your symbol, and it's done. That's what I'm trying to do.
right. Yeah, that'll be nice. That'll be nice to have. I mean, I must admit I don't often look at the market like that, but largely because I also don't have a tool to do it. So it would be nice to it'd be nice to see that. And then I think my hope has always been like as you can start to add and contextualize certain structure things that we see intuitively, how can we start building probabilities for that?
Other than like a high volume node or low volume node type thing, or like, are you talking about the shape of a profile, or what did you have in mind?
Well, like this thing that you're looking at here, that part of the way I pick out these price channels is not just swing lows, it's is it a swing low and delta increased and it went up. Okay? Well, that's a real important thing that happened there. And so why not this one versus that one? Well, because delta didn't really go up. It just kind of drifted. And then later, when everybody kind of decided they weren't interested, that's when Delta went up near the higher. So I was like, okay, well, if buyers weren't aggressive to make it go up, then I wouldn't think that they're going to be aggressive if price comes back down there. So it's just, I mean, I don't know that that's right, but that's kind of how I've started to do it, and I've seen some predictability with it. So then the normalization of that, so you could put it into calculation, might be calculating a new low, and then on ensuing next bar or 2 bars, does delta beat the previous high? Yes. Okay. Well, it's swing low then. I don't know. It's certain things like that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not worth doing it, but it's all about carving statistics down until you see probabilities in a setup rather than just a reference.
Hmm. Yep, for sure.
So, one quick thing I wanted to show you guys just before we get started, and I'm broadcasting, but you can't see it yet. Is just this post mortem breakdown of what happened yesterday. Um, did you guys have a chance to read this or take a look at it yet?
I was just reading it like this morning again. Yeah, I
I
have it
haven't
open.
not yet.
So the thing is that I've noticed over the last 2 weeks is I started getting up later. Number one, my normal morning meeting with my wife was off. We weren't having it. I'm showing up to my desk early, kind of really like not as early as I ordinarily would. And then on top of that, when I really sat down and thought about it yesterday, especially with how I got stopped, I wasn't really thinking about the auction. I was only thinking about the setup. So when I looked at and I replayed yesterday, I'll bring this over just so you can see what I saw. When I bring this over, I'm sitting there going, how did is this just really bad luck or was this just really bad trading? And there's a couple of things I won't bore you with, but the point is that I made, as I do when I get myopic, I made too much of this line, this line right here, like the market cares about that fucking line. So I knew the setup that I was looking for is that it was an impulse reversal rejection, boom, you grab it right there, and then you're looking for the mid and then the value area high. That's great, perfect setup, perfect execution. I didn't even take the EMA short like I could have because the signal was all there, right there. So patience, blah 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 blah. But here's what I didn't do. Two things. Number one, when I took the trade and I started to see it fail before VWAP, which is a bad deal, it should just rocket. It didn't. So as soon as it failed, I was just like, hold on. Why? Why hold on? That is not how I trade. Number one. Number two, I didn't even look at this auction at all. If you look at what I've drawn in here, you have a balance area right here. That's what happens. So you rip down through it, push up, back up to the top. Okay, so that's really clear in my mind that this is a balance area. So where was I taking a trade? Right in the middle. Did I even think for 1 second to think about these lows of this balance area? No, I did not think about that at all. And where did the next setup actually occur when I looked at all the signals? Right there, where I took it in replay. So
Yeah,
I just think that what happens to me, and this is what I'm asking for help on, I know what my setups are supposed to do. I know what my setups are. My problem is I get so, when I take like yesterday or Monday, I took like 10 stops. It wasn't 10 stops, but it was 10 trades that didn't work. That narrows my focus to a point at which I just need a fucking trade to work. And when that happens, I am zeroed in on the triggers only. I am not taking in all the peripheral information that my brain needs in order for the setup to have the best chance of working.
yeah, I hear you on that. I mean, I think part of what happens in that situation is that you're not, and I do the same thing, maybe in a different way, is I cannot see the auction and the trading that's happening clearly. Like I see it differently when I'm trading my live account or where I'm trading a funded account and I'm stocking a setup. I don't always see the market the same way through the same fresh set of eyes. I don't. And when I'm sitting there on sim and the money doesn't matter and it's all just doesn't matter what happens, like in terms of the results, sometimes it's easier to see things. And then when you're actually, you start thinking about making money or you start overthinking looking for your trade, I find it's hard to like I get clouded. I don't see things and I look back on it and say, well, why didn't I see that? So what I'm trying to do to try to counter that a little bit is throw up some of the things that I want to see like right on my main trading chart. Like the things that I would like gleam at me and say, hey, like the volume is really not there today, or hey, if you're gonna go against, if you're gonna go long here, look at what the delta, look who's been aggressive in the last, 30 minutes type thing. So I think for me, to counter what you're kind of talking about, I'm just trying to make sure that what I'm looking at gives me the best chance to see what I need to see, and just trying not to get too sucked into just ignoring all that stuff.
Hmm.
So quality of what's in front of you on the screen, I think, is important. Maybe you need to. What comes to mind, like when you talk about your RVOL thing,
Hmm.
I saw this really cool study. I don't know if I can replicate it, but it was like a green light, red light system with on your chart, and it's like a dot. It's a big circle, and in this case, it was for P&L. So if your P&L is okay, it's green. And if it starts to get low, it's yellow. And if it's max loss, it's red. It'd be cool to do something like that for RVOL, stuff like that. Like, hey, RVOL is at 45. There's no trade up. Put a red light on. Something like that comes to mind. But
That and something else that confuses me is that I see this RVL being low, but then I'll also see these big candles move, and I'm like, well, that I just don't. I mean, I know we're at the open, where they're in the first 30 minutes of the open, so I guess you should expect some volatility, and that was a news flush right there. There was something at 9 or 10 o'clock Eastern, but it's really confusing to me, and I don't know how to. Nick, you seem to have like a better way. Maybe I just interpreting something, but it seems like you are not as concerned about how price gets to where. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I think I want to say is like these big candles don't scare you. Like maybe you maintain it's low volume. Like it doesn't really matter what the candles look like. If I'm wrong about that, but that's what I feel like I need to get to.
Mm. Well, the one thing that I could say to you is that uh, this is not a technical issue. It's a mental issue.
Hmm.
It is the mental issue that I struggle with myself. And at sometimes I'm really great at it. And other times it still haunts me. Uh, and this is not anything to do with your setups. And it's not anything to do, it's all about the pressure that you put on yourself
Hmm.
while you're live. That's what it's about. And until we start to examine that, um, you're I don't think you're going to make too much headway because there's always going to be a point where you're going to trigger that. Like even if you're okay with trading one mini micro, right?
Right.
And you're all of a sudden you're trading great. Oh my God, I'm doing wonderful. And you're going to do two, and it's going to trigger it, and you're going to go right back to it again.
Hmm.
So I started to do like I told you guys that I made 2021 my whole mental year. It's
Yeah.
just it's all I'm focusing on. It's keeping and maintaining a mental um, attitude that works for trading constantly. And I, I have now. I'm going to share this with the group just because I think maybe it'll help people. But I made a list of all the things that I'm doing, like everything from exercise to blood tests to apps to journaling to everything. I'm just going to make a list for people, see if they helps them in any way. But like that's all I'm focused on. That is exactly what I'm doing. This is all I'm doing. I'm going to get to the bottom of this if I have to take a spoon and shovel out part of the brain. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. So I know what you're talking about. I don't know the exact cure, but I will tell you that what I have learned is you cannot allow yourself to get to that point.
Yeah.
Once you are there, it's very hard to get yourself out of it. It would be great if Ziggy or I sat next to you and could throw a bucket of water on your head,
Yeah.
right? But
Yep.
until that happens, it's very difficult to get yourself out because while it's happening, you think you're making the right decisions.
Right.
You think you're doing everything right. And so that's why the heart monitor, that's why keeping your body out of that zone, because that's the arousal zone, that's the fight flight mode. That is where you're in the wild and you're fighting an animal and it beats you the first time, so you're just going to go back and do it again, and if it doesn't work this time, I'll do it again. That's what you're experiencing, and you can't get to that. That's not going to work for trading.
I mean, I believe you. I just don't.
Yeah,
I
easy,
mean,
right?
well,
So just don't do that.
it's when, not realizing that your emotions have taken over, and thinking that the process will save you, and it just doesn't.
Yeah,
That's the difficulty, and even as much progress as has been made, it's like you said. I think you're right. You're not going to make much headway as long as that's a dilemma. As long as
yeah,
that kind of thing is possible, then you're always gonna be chasing the if onlys. And I want out of that too. I think I need to make the same goal as you. Psychology has to be the thing.
for me, it's the only way, because really everything else that we're doing is just chance, right? We're just hoping that it's more than 50% right or wrong,
Right.
right? And if we think about that, man, we're going to be wrong a lot. And
Hmm.
if we can't adapt and kind of say to ourselves, okay, I'm wrong, let me just relook at this thing without acting again, we're fucked. We're
Yep.
completely screwed. So
Well,
anyway,
with that in mind,
yes,
okay.
do it again.
Let's try it again. So what I've committed to is I'm gonna work on Sims, see if I can settle out, focus on these psychology things, and maybe we are improving. We're making little steps, the video and whatnot. um, but I also think the one thing that needs to be part of there is a routine that gets you in the right mindset, allows you to be aware when you're off.
Yeah,
So I think from a big picture standpoint, this is fascinating to me, how what's going on in this market. We just keep moving up, which is nice, I guess, for some people. Um, two outsized small days, really small days, back above the price channel, back to an all-time new high, and then in the overnight we uh, broke up again, and actually, very interestingly, yesterday we were in a down channel on this pullback. Uh, you can kind of see it here, where we'd impulsed higher, down channel here, pops right where you'd expect it to, in this down channel right there, and then just impulses higher, really tiny pullback, and now we've bounced at the high. And then negative news has driven the market even higher, which is, you know, I don't even know what to think about. Well, I do know what to think about that. I know what my conspiracy brain tells me. Anyways,
what was the news? I didn't hear the
it
news.
was consumer price index.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was
All right.
CPI. It was just flat and negative, so, or flat and zero. So it just did kind of like, that's weird. Massive move higher
Yeah.
on no news at all, really. So what I think is going on here is this whole area and range is balanced. So I don't really expect. I mean, we may go a little bit higher, but I expect us to pull back a substantial amount before that actually happens. There is a price channel which, in my mind, has now been confirmed here. I put this on before this move happened, and then of course the delta comes in. So I do expect buyers to support this area on first test. But if they don't, and we happen to slice it, then I would expect this area, which is where that secondary move or secondary move started. So I would expect that. But if that happens, then I'm really just kind of expecting a balanced area. And with this all highs like that we are now, I don't expect the market to make a lot of strong moves out of this. And then the RTY, I think it looks kind of similar, although the overnight profile is not quite as balanced looking. It's not, but same idea. I mean, it's not too dissimilar in terms of the ideas that are there. You know, where the first move might have supported. I actually looked at this and saw it as a little bit more structural, as a potential real pullback continuation, and that's the news move up there. And if we get down here, like RTY does, it'll kind of scoot just a little bit past where it should, and then just kind of do that kind of thing. So I would expect it to be balanced. Um, and that's really it. I don't see a reason to be short unless you get a exhaustion failure up here. In other words, if the open we try and go higher and just can't, we are at the top of the price channel on RTY and YM. So I think a measured short back into a valid reference, or with something where you see any kind of resistance and then you cut it. You're not trying to hold a short for a long move. And then along, if you can secure a good position, I'll quote Nick, if you can secure a good position, it would be a good thing probably to hold on to until some sort of balance area sets up and where we can start looking at structure work to the long side. That's what I think. I don't have the specific play. I don't have one. We're imbalanced on both markets. We're imbalanced to the long side. So the very first play that I'd be expecting is a impulse reversal, meaning we do repositioning right at the open, we hold above VWAP, and then we'd be looking to get long on an imbalance to the long side, looking to escape VWAP. That would look like a V bottom move right at the open. If that doesn't happen, I'm just gonna wait.
Makes sense to me. I mean, I didn't spend a lot of time today looking at the charts because I started to think about yesterday and what this looks like. I mean, this is the S&P yesterday RTH session. This is one of the smallest sessions we've ever had, and you can see that this is 95. This is 13. I mean, it's decent range. It's been worse. I've seen 9-point ranges. It's been worse. But during this range, it was very difficult to catch anything along the way, like anything long or short. I even tried to get along at the end of the day that pushed up. I only had a runner on, thank goodness, and I had to stop, below where it just flushed at the end of the day and then did the move in the afternoon. So today I'm only going to be looking at two areas. I'm going to be looking at the previous highs, which kind of encompass the this overnight area, the breakout area. If we can get below this area, it would mean something to me as a target zone. I'm going to look at this mid area because of this long-term balance that we had up here. If we can get below this with some sort of a momentum, it might mean to some sort of a pullback because we are stretched. There's no question about it. This kind of action where we had in the overnight session, typically for me has shown where you have this big thing like this, it usually ends up doing something, which is what it is doing right now. Pushes up like it's going to break out, fakes everybody, and goes like that. So I'm going to watch this area. That's a possibility to me. Of course, again, I'm only being aware of these impulses, and I'm reminding myself to try to stay off the shorts unless they're very small, short-term, movements that you think you can get, like even, this kind of a thing, or, or whatever. But it's almost like what we should be looking for is a scary flush. So we get a move up, we get, kind of a pullback, and it's doing this, and then all of a sudden it goes, bam, and it takes out these lows and something else. Look to get long this today, look to get long this if you can, if it doesn't, because what's been happening on this trend is it'll start to do this, it'll look scary, delta will look weak, it'll push down again, it'll push up, it might even go a little bit lower, it'll do this, it'll look weak again, and it'll start to balance above, and then it will start to push. And by the time you're here, if you got in over here, you're like ready to sell.
Yeah.
Because you just can't take the pain of going up and down, up
And
and
Nick,
down,
I
up and
saw you
down.
take that trade. I saw you do how was last week. I saw you taking that exact trade.
Yeah. And I'm like, fuck it, I'm holding.
Yeah, that's
But
great.
yeah. Oh, anyway, I mean, I'm really, I think what we should all be doing right now is focusing in on doing less trading and just watching how the market goes and really taking the best freaking setups of the day. Like, I'm even thinking about limiting myself to a number of trades. Like, maybe I should only be taking 2 trades or 3 attempts or something like that, because if we're in a random chance environment anyway, and we're only ever going to be 50-50, and this particular random chance has got lower opportunity, why would we take 7 trades? It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, yeah,
It's just,
Monday. I mean, that was exactly the cause of my tilt is that like you said, I was in high gear, market's in low gear. I'm trying to force something to happen, and there was, even though I tried to reset and I really thought I was, you know, I wasn't. I clearly wasn't, because the first time something didn't work, I flurried again. I wanted to fight. So I'm gonna make a suggestion, and it's gonna be awkward because nobody's gonna want to do it. I think perhaps either before you take a trade or after you've taken a trade, you should have to before you can take another one, you should have to detail what the structure was, the timing, access trigger, setup, performance, like some sort of reset protocol that everybody can look at and go, you either followed your plan or you didn't.
yeah, and that's great to do in an environment like now. It's not something that's even possible in a moving environment. And this is the other thing that's going to happen is that when this market turns, and it will, it's going to catch everybody off guard. It's going to start to move lower, and then it's going to seem like it's slowed down and stopped, and then it's going to keep going, like the other, like just a couple of weeks ago, where it just broke. So right now it's in the process of lulling us all to sleep. One thing I did want to show you, I did post this in uh, the um, the other room there, but like I keep track of all the times. Well, first of all, we've had 7 days up in a row in the ES, and this is all the daily closes and the percent chance of what it's happening. So, like out of 2,092 days, we're +7, which is right here. So we just completed +7. We 22 times in 2,992 days. Today is 8th day up. So there's only been 10 times where this has happened.
Mm.
So, I mean, it can happen again, and it doesn't, but the odds of continuously going up, it starts to get to 6 after.
Yeah.
So, we're starting to get really, really out there on this limb. So,
I want to ask you, I mean, back to my other question and my other point, what can you do to, what can you do to maintain your psychology? Like, what am I doing right when things are going well, or things are, I mean, when I did my first evaluation, it wasn't as though it was straight up. It wasn't, there was a lot of struggle, but I still maintained my cool. Is that purely just because it was sim, even though I felt like there was
oh,
still a struggle there?
incredibly, don't you think? I mean, absolutely. That's for sure the case. The other thing is too, the environment is different. So,
Yes.
you're struggling more now and you're getting more losses. Like, how many times have you had 3 losses in the morning and not been able to recover, like, mentally? Like, how often does it happen? Or when you have the first big trade and it's a win, all of a sudden, man, now I don't feel this thing anymore. I don't feel this way. So I would look, the answer is sim is certainly going to be a factor. There's no question about that, I think. But,
Mm.
there's probably other contributing factors as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'd really like to know how you can. What are you doing right when when you can take losses and it doesn't affect you? or you can manage it versus or you're having wins. I've never really had that problem so much where I have so much success that I just become a gambler or something.
Yeah.
Throw caution to the wind. So I'd really like to know, like I said, what's happening that's right on the days where I'm managing my emotions well. I guess I don't have any insight into that.
Well, we've got another day to experience it, so let's go.
Jeez Louise. Okay. Good luck today.
All right, pal.
Good